Blood and Genetics by Gar Hobbit of Zadia on Wattpad. Chapter 9. Wisdom Comes from Unexpected Places. Keith wandered towards the botany labs, clutching his sword books to his chest. Katie waved to him. "Hi, we were just going in." Keith followed her into the greenhouse, grinning. "There's something that I want to show you." He led her to his tree, in all of its calm and beauty. "This is my favorite spot in the greenhouse." "The tree?" "Yeah, it's quiet." Katie nodded. "That's a pau Brazil tree. It was endangered before World War III, and after the war, well, there's only about 500 of these trees out there. They mostly live in Brazil. So, this one here, did your mom plant it?" Katie laughed. "How old do you think my mom is to have planted this monster?" "No, this tree was found growing in the desert on its own. So they set up the whole botany lab and greenhouse around it. It's twice the height of a normal pau tree, 30 meters, last time my mom measured it. We've tried replanting its seeds in the desert to replicate its success, but nothing. This tree is one of a kind. There's nothing else like it on Earth." Keith put a hand on the tree's root. "Guess we're the same like that." A strain of singing reached Keith's ears, and he frowned. "What's that?" Katie rolled her eyes. "Ugh, my mom. She's singing to the plants because she's convinced it makes them grow better." "Does it?" "Well, to an extent, yeah, but you could achieve the same effect by breathing on them. It's just the carbon dioxide in your breath. Plants love it. And it gives out and it gives out oxygen, which is probably why you like it here so much. It's safer air to breathe. It's just quiet and still, like being outside." Katie wrinkled her nose. "I hate the outdoors. Nothing but sunburn and poison oak. The nature in the greenhouse is the best kind of nature. Cultivated, controlled, and not out to get me." Keith shrugged, setting down in his hollow, in the tree's hollow, in the tree's hollow. "I like it outdoors. It's quiet. No one yelling orders at you. Just you and nature." "Yeah, you and nature locked in an endless fight with nature, trying to kill you and just trying to survive," Katie muttered, but sat down next to him. "What you got there? Books about swords?" Colleen Hope came through the green toward them. "Katie, Iverson wants to see you." Katie got up. "Okay, I'm coming." Keith sat bolt upright. What did Iverson want with Katie? Had he found out Keith told Katie about his genes? Was he going to interrogate her? Was he going to throw Keith out of the garrison? Keith followed Katie and Mrs. Holt down the hallways, his knuckles white on his books. They stopped outside of Iverson's office, and Miss Holt gave Keith an apologetic look. "Can you stay out here, Keith?" Keith gulped. "Okay." He sat down in a chair. Another student was waiting in the chair near the counselor's office, but Keith didn't even register this through the roaring in his ears. What were they talking about? Katie opened her laptop. "Okay, so I was looking at the glyph, right? And I'm running it through different databases, but none of them recognize this glyph as a letter or a word in any language. Well, anyway, I was looking through some Japanese characters, and I noticed that a small section of the word for knowledge matched up somewhat with some of the glyphs. So I thought maybe it's a blend of languages." Iverson nodded. "It could be." "Right, well, so there's a computer program that blends languages for you. It's supposed to be for making up your own fantasy language, for writing or role-playing or whatever, but I figured it would work for this. So I created a crossover program. It kept the first program running, and it continuously fed in every possible character in every possible glyph, like language that with that bit from the Japanese for knowledge, and blended the glyphs in 2 or 3 different ways to create several options." "Quick question," Colleen asked. "How did you modulate it?" "Double modulation, of course." Colleen nodded proudly. "That's my girl." "Anyway, so I created another program on top of that to screenshot any resulting glyphs that matched or were fairly close to matching the glyph on Keith's knife. Then I just left it running and plugged it in while I was at school, so it had plenty of time. Last night, it finally alerted me that it had a matching blend. And, well, it has the bit for knowledge, of course. And then, so you remember the war code?" Iverson frowned. "How did you get a hold of the war code?" That's not important. The important part, it's important. That code is not open for the public's use. Only military personnel are permitted to use that code." "I hacked my father's computer? His military computer?" Iverson looked at her for a long moment. After this, I want you to work with our computer security team to make sure our defenses are stronger. Yes, sir. Anyway, the blend that matched the glyph was a mixture of that Japanese character and the code character for death. So, best I can tell, we're looking at a glyph that means something along the lines of knowledge to death, knowledge is death, knowledge and death, or knowledge or death. Somewhere in that general ballpark. Assuming, of course, that the glyph is a blend of our Earth characters and not a completely alien language. Iverson gave a sharp nod. Thank you for your input. We'll take it into consideration. Oh, and Miss Holt, once you're old enough, take the garrison into consideration for schooling. The computer department could use someone like you. Katie beamed as she saluted. Yes, sir. Mom, I've got something I need to discuss with Iverson. You go on ahead. Okay. Katie bounced out of the office to where Keith was waiting, his legs bouncing nervously. So, are they mad? Mad about what? That I told you about the thing? What? Oh, no, they asked me to decode the glyph on your knife, and I found a plausible answer. We're not in trouble. Keith's eyebrows drew together in an angry V. They asked you to decode the glyph? Katie beamed, the commander himself, telling her that she could have a place in the garrison. Yeah. You told me that you hacked your mom's phone to find that picture. The grin slid off of Katie's face. Oh, I did? You lied to me? It wasn't really a lie, more like I stretched the truth a bit. There was no truth in that, Katie. That was a lie. Well, hey, I didn't think that you'd talk to me about the knife if you knew that I was reporting it to Iverson. So you lied to me, Katie? I trusted you. You can still trust me. Look, okay, maybe I shouldn't have lied to you. That was bad on my part, but if you weren't so distrusting all the time, so you're saying it's my fault that you lied to me? Okay, now you're twisting my words. I didn't say that. But, I mean, if you would just trust that people know what they're doing, they wouldn't have to lie to you. Keith backed away and then turned and ran from her. She face-palmed. That came out wrong. Keith, don't... She kicked the chair in frustration. He was gone. Wow. Katie whirled around to see another student sitting on the nearby chair. What are you doing here? He gestured vaguely towards the office next to him. I was just waiting for a counseling appointment. Well, mind your own business. He chuckled. Trust me, you are not the first person to get Keith upset like that. He rubbed his jaw. You got off pretty lightly, honestly. He glanced at Katie, whose eyes were filling with tears, and patted the seat next to him. Want to talk about it? Keith raced through the hallways, holding back a scream of frustration. Katie had been lying to him just like everyone else. He thought that maybe he can consider her a friend, but she'd been lying to him the whole time. Was she right? Was it his fault that people lied to him? That if he were more open, he would be told the truth more often? He punched the code into the botany labs and sprinted into the greenhouse, going right back to the Brazil tree and curling into his hollow. The tree thrummed with the same calmness it had before. Stay. Quiet. Safe. Calm. And I should have told him the truth, I guess, but I was worried that he wouldn't trust me anymore and he'd clam up and not talk to me. I mean, what was I supposed to do? I like him. I think we could be friends. But my first clue towards what that glyph could be was Keith, and he wouldn't trust me if he knew that I was talking to the adults, and I was supposed to figure out that glyph. I couldn't just give up on it like that, could I? I mean, it was important. I could have had a lot to do with my dad and brother's mission, and I don't want them getting hurt. Katie looked sideways at her companion, whose name was James. Do you blame me? He considered that silently for a minute. No, he said slowly. I mean, okay, it was your choice to lie, but honestly, how old are you again? 10? Right, well, some of the blame does lie with you. Some of it does lie with Keith for not trusting the adults, but most of the blame, it lies with the adults themselves. Iverson and your mother. What? James sighed. Look, when I was 10, I thought the adults were perfect, that they knew everything. I thought that they could do no wrong. I thought that if they made a rule, it was for the best, and I ought to follow it. Letter and spirit. And I still thought that for a really long time. But, well, recently, I found that not only were they not perfect, but that they were screwed up. A lot. They're not perfect. They're not infallible. And, well, they shouldn't have put all that on you. You're only 10. They should never have ever put so much responsibility on your shoulders. You shouldn't have had to make that choice to lie to Keith. What do you mean? Look, I'm sure that your mother is a wonderful person, but she's overestimated you. She held you on a level with an adult. I'm mature. Yeah, but you're still not an adult. Even mature kids are still more mentally unstable than adults. We don't think all of our actions through. We don't plan ahead. In other words, while you can be trusted with some responsibility, you shouldn't have the weight of an entire space mission thrusted on you, especially if it involves your friends and family. Your mother and Iverson should have sent down guidelines, rules. Rules should have been there to help you through it. They shouldn't have left you on your own with that project. That wasn't fair to you. It wasn't fair to Keith. Your mother overestimated you, put too much weight on your shoulders, and then left you to deal with the consequences. I'm sure she didn't think it would be that important. I'm sure she thought that you could handle it because of your maturity level. But still, it isn't something she should have done, so that's on her. You really think so? James nodded. You still made the choice to lie to Keith. That part is your fault. But it isn't a situation that you should have been allowed to get into. And that's the adult's fault. You were also right about Keith, that he wouldn't trust you if he knew you were reporting to the adults. And that's on him. But it's also on the adults who got him on that mindset in the first place. If they were more trustworthy, he wouldn't mistrust everyone associated with them. James scowled at the floor. I certainly developed a distrust of adults more recently. So, like I said, you still lied to him. Katie sighed, rubbing her forehead. I need to apologize. Are you ready for that? What do you mean? Don't apologize if you're not ready for it. It won't be real. And both of you will know that. And you? What did you do to get on Keith's bad side? James chuckled. Plenty, trust me. All of it bad. Yeah? And what? You came to a sudden revelation that you should be nice? James got suddenly quiet. It's a long story. Katie looked at him sideways. Are you going to apologize? Griffin shook his head. No. Why not? I'm not ready yet. It's not the time. Katie tilted her head to the side. I never asked why are you out here? I mean, I know you said you had an appointment with the counselor, but why? I had a panic attack recently, and I wanted to talk it out. James waved a hand. It's not a big deal. Apparently he's too busy for me anyway. Sounds like a big deal. It's my problem, not yours. You said that you wanted to apologize, right? Well, let's go track him down. You do that? James snorted. If Keith gets angry at too many more people, he'll probably explode from the pure amount of rage. I certainly don't want to deal with that. Katie hopped off her chair. You know where to find him? I know where he's likely to be anyway. James led her through the hallway to the dormitories. He knocked on one of the doors. There was no reply. He glanced sideways at Katie. What do you think? Ignoring us? Not there? Or lying murdered on the floor? Katie shrugged. Only one way to find out. James opened the door. Not there. Either that or he's hiding from us. I'd say he's not here. Come on, we can check the library. They thumped down the hallways, and a girl gave Katie a look. Girlfriend, Griffin? No, James replied shortly, opening the door to the library. He went straight to the librarian. Hey, is Keith in here? No. James shrugged. All right, I'm all out of ideas. Really? That fast? Well, we're not exactly friends. Right. Well, then he's probably in the greenhouse at the Brazil tree. Come on. As they got closer to the botany labs, James grabbed a student. Hey, have you seen Kagane? Yeah, he's in the botany labs. I saw him run past. I was asking about cooking herbs. Did you know that they don't have those here? I think we should start an herb garden so that... Okay, yeah, thanks, Hunk. Bye. Who's your friend? Her name is Katie. Anyway, we've got to get moving. Nice seeing you. Bye. Lance looked up as Hunk came into the room. Any luck? Hunk sighed. No, and I'm nearly out of the stuff that my mom gave me. I ran into Griffin in the hallway. He was asking about Keith. Lance groaned. Again? Griffin's going to get himself killed. Hunk shot him a look. Keith's not that bad. Hunk, no, listen, Lance. I was talking to Keith the other day. He didn't seem hostile most of the time. Just a little shy. Are we talking about the same Keith? Lance, what you said hit him pretty hard. He was flinching away at the mention of your name. I think you hurt his feelings really bad. I mean, that was some really rough stuff that you said. Lance nestled guiltily into his blankets. He shouldn't have been listening. Lance sighed. Yeah, okay, I'll apologize. Hunk settled down next to him. Good, you'd better. And I'll be there when you do. No backing out. I won't back out. Good, because I wouldn't let you. Katie sniffed as they got closer to the botany labs. James, do you smell smoke? James sucked in a deep breath through his nose. Yeah, I do. A few hallways away, people were running around in a titsy, scientists and military personnel alike. Katie and James were separated by the panicked people, and she struggled to push through them. James? Where are you? James? Katie tugged on a nearby scientist's sleeve. Hey, what's going on in there? Kid, you need to get out of here. The botany labs are on fire.